Welcome to video 4 of week 3. So, we covered quite a bit last few videos. We've actually gone into arrangement now. So we've stepped out of session view and we've learnt a new part of Ableton. So we've also learnt about track structure, the intros, the builds, the drops, different parts of the track, how they work, why they're there. We've learnt about how to make a build up with rhythm and build-ups in general. And then finally, we learnt how to bring our track out of the session view and into the arrangement view. So hopefully that makes sense now as to why we actually named all these and created all these parts, created all these scenes in our session view. It's because I had the plan that we'd eventually turn this into our full track. And it really is the most painless way to create an entire track structure. When you get more advanced, you can come in here and start making something from scratch in the arrangement view. But I think for now, especially if you're comfortable with it, I would stick in here, stick in the arrangement, stay in the session view, build out your track this way with your drums, bass, leads, whatever other sounds you got, and then set them up into scenes like this for each part of the track, which you can then play and record into the arrangement view. That way you have an entire structure that you can customize straight away. You don't have to come in here and build each single part of the track until you get to the end. You can kind of just have the whole track laid out so you can see it as a whole, and then you can go in and fix any bits that need fixing, add more sounds, whatever you want to do to it. So yeah, this whole week's been more or less dedicated to the arrangement section. So the homework for this week, what I want you to get done, it's pretty self-explanatory. We've kind of done it anyway. Yeah, pretty much I just want you to go in, clean this up, clean up your track. Like I said in the last video at the end there, you've probably got a lot of ideas bouncing around now and parts that you want to fix up, parts that you're not happy with. Play the track as a whole from start to finish and see if you can notice parts where you're getting bored, or where you think there needs to be a switch up. And just go in and tweak those bits, tweak those areas, because that's what's going to make your track more interesting at the end of the day. And if you forgot to put in build-ups, or if you got to add in some different alternate choruses, you can go and do that now. Basically get this all cleaned up so that you have a structured project. Another little tip and something that you can do is you can create an audio track here in the arrangement view. Let's just put it up the top, and what I'm actually going to do is just grab a reference track and throw it straight in here. So I just grabbed that Diplo track that we were working with before, that I showed you about the structure. So I've just got it up the top here. So if I play it, obviously it's going to play mine and that one as well. So you kind of have to solo to hear just that. One thing that you have to be aware of, and that you do make sure you have to do if you do throw in a reference track like this up the top, is that when you throw it in, just make sure that the actual track is the same BPM as your tempo. Otherwise, it's going to be all warped and it's going to sound weird. But what you can do, even if it's not the same tempo, just make sure this is off here, this warp, so that you're hearing the track how it's meant to be heard. And you can just use it as more of a reference rather than actually copying it as a template. Obviously, mine's completely different, so it's going to sound all out of whack. But I'm guessing that the reference you used would be quite similar to your track, so it wouldn't be as different as this. But it's more for our own reference and a visual representation of how they've laid out their track. What you can do is actually turn it off up here, so you can play your track, and should you want to hear the reference, just hear the solo on it. That way you can A/B between the reference track and your track. You don't have to do this, but it's just a bit of a handy tip and an easy way to see how your track stacks up against a commercial quality production. Not that I'm saying yours should be at a commercial quality production right now, because it's just impossible, but it's just something to keep in mind for later down the track. And it might also give you some ideas as to how you want to structure your own track. So yeah, for this week, keep chipping away at this on your arrangement. If I'm on calls with you, we'll go through your track. Hopefully you can have like a semi-finished product or something that you're kind of happy with arrangement-wise, and I'll go through it with you, give you any tips that I have, any help, and we'll go from there. If you have any questions on this whole process, make sure you write them down as well and bring them up on the calls. That way you're 100% clear on everything we've gone through so far. So that was week 3. I hope you enjoyed the lessons and that it all made sense. Like I said, you got a lot of work ahead of you now. You can start adding more sounds, whatever you want to do to this to make it a completed song. And what we'll be looking at next week for week 4 is we're going to start getting into sampling and what that's all about. So I'm not going to get into it too much here. That's something for next week. For now, just keep your head in the arrangement, lay this whole track out, and I'll see you next week.